In my previous video, you saw that I installed a single billows fan, and I got it up to 530 degrees, but I couldn't hold it. About 40 degrees below the temperature, the billows goes into a pulse mode, and the fan starts to pulse because it's made for an efficient unit and it doesn't want to overshoot. This is a lot of things, this char griller, but not efficient. So I couldn't hold temperatures over about 300 degrees. When I talked to the fine folks at ThermoWorks, they said, well, put in a second fan. And I said, I don't have a second fan. And they said, well, then we'll send you one. And they did. And I bought the adapter and the Y cable, and they sent me the fan just so we could try this out and see what happens. So here's the two billows fans billowing. I just ran the wires loose across the back because I wanted to be able to take it off and walk away. And there's the signals unit set to 450 degrees, and it's been running about 10 minutes, and the ThermoWorks is already measuring 230, and it's climbing fast. So we're going to see how long it takes to hit 450 degrees, and now I'll show you how I did it. This is the way I have the billows fan mounted now, and it works great up to about 300 degrees. The challenge is about 40 degrees below temperature, the billows goes into pulsing mode, and it's just not enough air to keep up with the temperature of the char griller, and the char griller's temp starts to drop. The problem with mounting the billows like this is the cover fits like that, and it just sticks out from the side, and it's less than ideal, and I'm trying to figure out a better way to do it. So this is how the billows was connected on the outside of the fan box. There's the inside of the fan box, and the fan box is upside down. I think what I'm gonna do, I don't want it sticking out like that. I think what I'm gonna do is mount both of them like this. So there are two options. I could go with the spring and the bolt and the seal that's provided, and that's an okay connection. But when you're trying to put the fire out, you want it to be pretty airtight. So instead, I think I'm gonna go with the billows mount because it has those hooks which hook to this bar that goes across there, and it makes for a much more solid, much more stable, much stronger connection. And this is gonna be on there potentially for a long time. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So the first thing I did was cut this fan guard out because it was in the way, and I think that would occlude a lot of air, and seemed like a good idea. So now I'm gonna replace the latch, close this lid, and start cutting on those two marks that I made, and this becomes that. Well, see what's next. Well, the Good Idea bus has been stopping by here every couple of minutes. I put this electrical plate on the outside just to cover up that hole for now. And I was gonna square off that mesh, and then I thought, why? Because looking at it from the inside, anything in theory that gets down in there may hit that mesh and follow that curve and get trapped right against the wall, maybe. But it doesn't affect the fan flap at all. So this is what it looks like now that it's together, and it seems to make a pretty good seal. And I mean, after all, there's never time to do it right, but heck, there's always time to do it twice. So let's go see what happens. So according to the stopwatch, we've been running right at 30 minutes. The billows fans are now basically pulsing, and we are at 449.9, and it's been hanging around within a degree of that temperature for a few minutes. So now we'll see if it holds. It looks like it's going to. So this is what happens when the billow starts pulsing. About 40 degrees below the set temp, it automatically goes into a pulse mode. You can see the smoke come flying out and then relax, then come flying out and then relax. It's pretty slick. The idea is not to overshoot the temperature. Pulse mode. We're still smoking. I set it to 450 and it climbed there and it held, but I threw a frozen pizza on. It dropped to 410, 40 degrees below, and it held for the whole pizza cook. So after I took the pizza off, I set it to 500 and it held. And I thought, what in the heck? What's the common denominator? Add food. So I put on a pan of water just to simulate meat or food. And it's just tap water, room temperature, and it's holding at 460. I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to be a little better. So I pulled it apart again, put Lava-Lock all around these, sealed these up real firm. Ran a strip of Lava-Lock around here. I'm just trying to save air, make it a little more efficient. And I ran a strip of Lava-Lock all the way around the lid. And it's kind of cool. When you close the lid, oh, very quiet. It's very positive. It seems like it's going to help a little bit. And I'm hoping a whole bunch of little bits are going to add up to a lot. So after a 6-hour cook, I wanted to know if adding all that Lava-Lock would help. And I kicked it up to 400 degrees. And in pulse mode, it got there very quickly and is holding easily. So I threw in a pan, a good sized pan of cold water to see if adding food would force the temperature down. And I left the lid open for about a minute and it easily climbed back to 400 and is holding it no problem now. So will it hold 400 degrees when it's 80 degrees outside? Easily. Pretty happy about that. It's time for the final test. So from a cold start, both Billows fans billowing, I lit it and set it to 450, and it took 16 minutes from the time I lit it until it hit 450 degrees. So then I let it stabilize there for about 5 minutes, then kicked it up to 550. It took 6 minutes for it to go from 450 to 550. Now I'm going to throw a pan of ice water. That's the most challenging thing I can think of inside, and see if it'll hold set to 550 degrees. So after 10 minutes with a pan of ice water in there, it's holding at 547, 548, and it's slowly climbing. So it's coming back to where I want. Absolutely no problem. And honestly, this is only the second time I've ever had the char griller this hot, and I've owned it since January because I don't cook in it that hot. If I want to sear, that's a searing machine right there. This thing I use for low and slow, I cook on it twice a week. I pulled the pan of water out. That was entertaining when it was 550 degrees. And let it cool to 400. Threw a frozen pizza back in there because I wanted to try that again to see what would happen. And with the frozen pizza in, it's holding 400 degrees perfectly. So a little bit did turn out to be a lot, and I couldn't be happier. This thing is doing exactly what I wanted to do. So thank you, ThermoWorks. Why the ThermoWorks bellows? Well, a number of reasons. Mostly it's 100% reliable. I'm a big fan of ThermoWorks products. I can monitor my cook from anywhere. It gets perfect connectivity. The char griller app was not working for me. I love the char griller, but I didn't love the app. I can check my meat temperature from the grocery store, for goodness sake. I can keep an eye on it all day from my office, which is downstairs, down there. And I get 100% connectivity and 100% accuracy. I can put a brisket on at night and go to bed and not worry about it and know when I wake up tomorrow it will still be cooking. So would I do it again? Absolutely. Am I going to call this a win? 100%. The only thing I think I need to do is come up with something like some kind of plastic or something to wrap around there to weatherproof that, because I cook on this thing year round when it's 6 below or 92 like it is today. So there you have it. Overall, it worked well.